Hello, this is Resident Rockstar, and we're here with Alex from Cannibal Corpse, and we're interviewing him today outside Summit Music Hall about your current tour, which is the Summer Slaughter Tour.
Summer Slaughter.
And what album are you promoting on this tour?
We're currently touring in support of the album Torture that we did, and that came out earlier in 2012, I think like March or something. That's our 12th studio album with Metal Blade Records. 12th studio album, period, actually.
So you've been with Metal Blade your entire career?
Yep, the whole time. Metal Blade signed us in 1989, I think. We put out our first record in 1990, and we've been with them ever since. And so far, so good. I mean, we have no plans to ever change.
You guys have made it incredibly far, considering that you can't even be played on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I would die if I heard you on KBPI, but for a band that can't get radio play because of their song content, you guys have millions of fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. We certainly couldn't have predicted it. I think it does show that there's it's possible to bypass mainstream media and still have a good music career. You know, we've proven it. A lot of other bands and different kinds of underground music that have really stuck to their guns and also been at the right place at the right time, you know, have been able to prove that too. I mean, you see hardcore bands, punk bands, metal band, you know, extreme metal bands, death metal, black metal, or whatever, that have been able to make it for a while, and we've all been able to do it without those things. Commercial radio basically ignores this kind of music. MTV didn't ever play as much, you know, maybe once or twice on Headbangers Ball, and that would usually be the last video of the night,
right,
rather than being a featured one. So yeah, I mean, you can do it. You can make it without that stuff. We wouldn't mind having some of that stuff just to get the message out to more people, but
right,
we can make it without it.
You don't need to change yourself for that.
No, definitely. We wouldn't change. That's been our whole thing, is we won't change for a bigger audience. The people are going to have to change what they like and come to us. But we're not going to come to them, you know
right.
what I mean? Like, we're going to do what we do, and if more people end up liking it, that's great, but we're not going to change to try and gain more fans.
Well, I think everybody likes it.
Yeah, I mean, I think our fans appreciate that consistency. Things have changed a little over the years, but every one of the albums we've done is just full-on death metal, and it's been, you know, they're all horror themed, so I think the consistency that we've had throughout our career, that's part of the reason we're around.
Right.
Still, is people know they can count on us. Maybe they like one album better than the others, but every album that we've ever made has always been a heavy death metal album.
Most people still own every album.
I meet a lot of people that do have them all, and really it's humbling to have such loyal fans. You know?
Right. So you have been with the band since the beginning, right? Weren't you 15
Yep.
when you started playing?
No. I mean, I was like 14 when I started playing bass, but we got Cannibal together when I had just turned 19. Back in late 1988. It was December of 88. We got together. Our old bands were basically at a point where they weren't complete bands anymore. You know, me and Jack were quitting our band Beyond Death, and Tyrant Sin was the other band that the other guys were in, and they needed a guitar player and a bass player, so we thought, hey, let's make a brand new band instead of, you know, making it
trying to scrape
Tyrant Sin again or something like that. And we just made a brand new band together. And yeah, the original members that are still left from those days are me and Paul Mazurkiewicz, our drummer. The other guys have been in the band a really long time, but and we really haven't had very many lineup changes. For a 5-man band, there's only 3 ex-members. You know what I mean? I know some 5-man bands that have had like a lot more lineup changes in a lot shorter period of time than 25 years.
Yeah, so your lineup has stayed pretty consistent.
It's pretty consistent. Yeah, we've had one change in the past, you know, over 10 years, and that was just when Jack quit in 2004. Did have Jeremy Turner from Origin hop in for the tour cycle in 2004, and he did a great job, but when that was done, we ended up getting Rob Barrett back full-time, and he had been with us in the past, so it's been consistent.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing for the length of time you've been playing music.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, the hardest thing about a band, I think, is really keeping it together and learning how to get along with each other. If you can have a consistent lineup and all stay together, that's half the battle, more than half the battle.
Right. So, where are you guys playing next?
After today, we're in Denver today, of course, and then after today we have a drive day, you know, like a day off where we have to basically split the drive in half because bus drivers aren't allowed to drive from Denver to Seattle in one day. The next show is Seattle, but we're going to be stopping in Idaho tomorrow, which is the halfway point, and then we'll get over to Seattle, and then it's Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, and Anaheim to finish off the Summer Slaughter tour. Then we're home for a month, and then we go across the Pacific and start having some fun over there, and we really are looking forward to that.
Wow.
Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, Korea, China. Wow. It's going to be fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many shows have you played in 2012 so far?
I don't know exactly, but just in the past 2 tours, it'll add up to being 64 shows just in the past 3 months. Before that, we had another couple of months worth of touring that we had done, which those tours were maybe a little over 20 each. So we're looking at like probably around 110 shows by the time this one's done, give or take. I don't have an exact number, like I said. So by the end of the year, we should have probably racked up a good, I'd say maybe 130, 140 shows at least. And then next year it carries on. We'll have more. So for Torture, we'll end up doing well over 200 shows. No problem.
That's a big workload.
It's a lot, We've been doing that. Except for Eating Back to Life, where we didn't really tour, we've pretty much been doing that level of touring for most of the records. It got to be more and more as time went by. There was greater demand for the band, and more people knew about us, so more people wanted to bring us to their city. So we've just toured and toured and toured. It's got to be a couple thousand shows by now. I don't know a count.
It's a lot.
We played a lot of shows over the years, for sure.
We see a lot of people coming through, and we hear that the digital music craze has really made it hard for bands to make money, and that touring is really the only way they get any kind of income to keep themselves, eating and going. And
yeah, I think that definitely bands are not the ones who are going to feel the pinch from the digital downloading kind of thing. I think it would be difficult to say exactly how it's affected everybody. It's going to be a little different for each band and for each kind of music. I think for metal, it hasn't hit us as hard because our fans want to buy the physical product more often than not. I meet so many people that have the albums. That might not be the case for a different band, but for our band, people want to buy it. And I think that's probably true for most metal bands, dance music bands or whatever. They might have more trouble because you just need the song with that stuff in most cases, and a lot of people don't want the album packaging. They just don't care, but metal fans are dedicated, and a lot of them are really interested in collecting what the band is putting out, so they'll buy it. But even having said that, even if there was a huge drop off in sales, the touring is still there. You can still sell T-shirts and things like that, and that's stuff that can't really be downloaded at this point. I mean, maybe someday they'll have a life-size hologram of a band performing, and you can have it in your backyard. But for now, you still have to come see the show to really get that experience. So we're not too worried about it. Record companies, they might be kind of a little nervous, but yeah, bands are going to be fine.
So do you do most of your album sales at shows? Is that where you sell most of your stuff?
No, I think it still sells. I mean, I don't really know. I know we do sell some albums at the shows, but I think most of it happens, maybe people ordering them online from a place like Amazon or something like that.
You can't get it at Walmart.
You can't get it at Walmart. You can, you could get them at Best Buy and places like that, but it's hard to tell if they still even have CDs at most Best Buys. I've gone to some where the CD section's gotten very small. I think there's somewhere it's gone. But a lot of people get it on iTunes too, and that's if they are going to download. A lot of people are doing it legitimately because we have a lot of sales from there. So there's still places to get it, but it is different. I want to buy the new Rush album, and I've been wanting to buy it for the past week and a half. I just got in my mind, I'm like, man, I have to go get this new Rush album. I can't find a place to buy it. Every day I'm looking around for a record store, there's none left. It used to be every time we played a show, there was a record store. I don't want to download it. A lot of albums I do download from Amazon MP3, but this one I want to buy. I want to read the lyrics and everything. I have the package. Can't find a place to buy it. There's no down there. I couldn't find a record store here in downtown Denver. So I think there's still people who want to buy CDs. It might be a little harder.
Can't
They have
find
to
them.
they have to kind of know where to go now because so many stores have closed. So
Right.
it's just changing times, you know.
Well, it sounds like you guys lucked out and it's not really affecting you, and
It's not so
your
bad.
fans
no.
are really loyal. I mean, I've
Yeah.
grown up listening to your music. It's one of the first bands I ever listened to, so it's, you know, it's, I've seen people here that I grew up with, and I've seen people here that were, you know, parents of my friends growing up.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that you guys have lasted this long and are still going strong. I mean, it's amazing just to see how far you've come.
Yeah, it's incredible, and we're very grateful to our fans for the loyalty. Yeah, we do see some where it's a multi-generational thing now, where it's a father with a son, and they both like the band, you know, and they're coming to the show together. So it's pretty incredible, and we never imagined this could happen.
It's great. So what's like the best advice you ever got when you were starting out?
Probably like when we were first getting going. In Cannibal Corpse lingo, we have a term for failing called funnel, and us and all the people around us use that. Like, you know, basically something's going down the toilet. We say, oh, it's in the funnel, you know. And I remember Scott Burns, our producer for our first 5 records, you know, because I'm the kind of guy who's always looking to the future and always trying to plan for the future. I'm like, oh man, you know, I hope we don't funnel or whatever.
Right.
You know, I want to keep this going. I'm having a great time, you know, playing my favorite kind of music, and we're making a living doing it. And he's like, you guys are in a good place. You're not going to funnel unless you want to. You know what I mean? Like, if you just keep working hard and doing the best you can, you're going to be all right. And that's true. Once you've got the opportunity, you know, if you manage to somehow get a good opportunity, as long as you work really hard, you'll be all right. You know, I've seen a lot of bands squander good opportunities, and that's, I think, what Scott was trying to say to me. It's like, don't squander the good opportunity you've been given. You know, so many people work really hard and they don't get lucky. So if you get lucky, make sure to take advantage of it.
Right. So that would be the best advice you would give then too.
That's what I would give to a younger band. You know, it's like, don't blow it. If you get so lucky as to get signed and get on good tours and stuff, don't break the band up because you're arguing about something stupid.
Right.
You know, just try and be the bigger man in any argument and just walk away, count to 10, do whatever, but stick together, work as hard as you can, and try and make great records, you know, and things should continue to fall into place if you've already been given that one first chance to get your foot in the door.
Amazing. So what is your like favorite song or album to play out of your whole
out of our
Corpse
catalog?
career?
You know, it changes from time to time as far as what we're playing on stage. One of my favorite songs that we ever did was From Skin to Liquid on Gallery of Suicide. That album came out in '98, I think, and that was the first super slow song that we had done, and it's also an instrumental, and we all felt like it turned out really heavy, and you know, and it was still super heavy death metal, but it was slow, and it didn't feature gore lyrics. So by putting that out, you know, I think we kind of were able to prove that we didn't need necessarily to have the shock value that's associated with the band, you know, some of the ultra gory lyrics and that sort of thing, we could be equally heavy without saying a word.
Right.
You know, and that's think something that we were able to prove with that song. At least that's how I felt about it. You know, so that's always been one of my favorites for that reason.
Great. So what song are you looking forward to performing tonight?
Let me think. They're all pretty fun. Scourge of Iron's been a lot of fun lately. Again, the slow ones are really fun live, where it's a little more slower and chunky because they always sound really good live. You know, they breathe. They move air. You know, some of the really fast stuff, they're still fun to play too because it's so aggressive and fast, but it kind of can fly by everybody in a blur. You know, with stuff that's a little slower and meatier, it's coming out of the speakers. You just see the speaker moving, and it's heavy. You know, it feels good to play that kind of stuff up there.
Awesome. So one more quick question. Who, when you first started playing music, was your biggest influence?
When I started playing music, like, I've got actually 2 starts on that too. I started when I was like 6 years old. I took acoustic guitar lessons for a few months and then kind of gave up on that. And then I later on, started playing bass when I was around 13 or 14. I think it was 14. And at that time, so I'll call that the real start, you know. So when I was like 14, I was listening to Accept, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, stuff like that, Rush. So those were my big influences. Those bands. Accept was a huge influence, and to this day, they're still one of my favorite bands. They're, you know, along with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, they're one of the bands that feels like a perfect representation of what heavy metal is. They're not as well known as those other two bands. There are also a couple of my very favorites, but for some reason, to me, they were just like a favorite for me. I thought they just really nailed it, and I also liked the bass playing a lot as a bass player. You know, Peter Baltes from Accept was certainly a favorite and an influence for me when I got started.
Right. It's amazing because at least two of those bands are still playing and just came through on tour.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Rush just came through, right? And then Iron Maiden was
yeah,
just here.
all those bands that I mentioned, I think, are still doing. I mean, AC/DC do things when they want to, I guess, because they're probably the biggest band on the planet. But yeah, Rush, I'm gonna go see them in November. They're coming to Tampa in November, so I'll be at that. And Except I saw, I think last year or a year and a half ago, I can't remember. It was back in Orlando. I saw them. Amazing show. And then Iron Maiden I saw last year, also amazing. And actually I saw Priest last year too, amazing. So all that old stuff that I started out listening to, those are classic, legendary bands that are still around.
And they're still
I certainly look up to them for that kind of longevity too, and I think you look at why are those bands still around. It's the consistency and the loyalty between them and their fans, as far as like they made music that their fans could depend on, and so they could depend on their fans to continue to support them.
That's great. So your website is cannibalcorpse.com?
Cannibalcorpse.net is the main website, and we also have a Facebook page and all that other stuff too, so you'll find us if you Google Cannibal Corpse.
Where's the best place for fans to actually interact with you on the internet?
For me personally, I have a Twitter thing, Alex Cannibal is my name on there, and also Facebook. I have a page on there, but mostly the Twitter one I do. That's the simplest. It's the easiest for me to do on my phone when I'm out here roaming around. I'll take a picture of something cool or something stupid that I saw and post it and chat with people about that or whatever. So yeah, if someone wants to get in touch with me, just ask a simple question or whatever. That might be the best way to do it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Hey,
and you'll be able to
thank you
find
very
this
much.
on residentrockstar.com/cannibalcorpse.